Choosing the right platform for your e-commerce store can make or break your entire business. In 2025, Amazon, Shopify, WooCommerce, and TikTok shops have all been huge opportunities, but they all have their hidden traps beginners may not see. Today, I'll break down some references so that you can pick the best platform that fits your skills, your product, and your goals. Let's start off with Amazon. It has one major advantage: built-in traffic. Millions of shoppers are ready to buy every single day. You don't need an audience. You don't need a TikTok following. You just need a good listing. But there is one big downside. Amazon has high compliance requirements. Now, this could be a good thing or a bad thing because they're trying to prevent bad stuff from entering the US market. That's a good thing. So they tend to be a little bit more strict on receiving standards and also the packaging and labeling rules. I've had a customer before wanted to start an Amazon FBA business. They want to sell hair extensions, and yeah, they were able to find a supplier quickly, but they weren't able to find a shipping agent that would package it according to exactly how the Amazon FBA warehouse would accept it. They're very keen on how you label your SKUs, where you put your codes, your barcodes on the packaging, and if you don't follow them, they will just kick the product back and say, we don't have time for this, and you would end up losing money. So you definitely want to prefer that. Now, recently over the years, in 2023 up to today, Amazon has been reporting an increased number of seller fees. Now, that's not to say that there's no room for profit. This is something that you may have to just worry about when you're dealing with an Amazon shop. If you don't know how to calculate your profit margins properly, that's why it's very important to have a profit calculator, then you can actually end up losing money if you don't calculate the fees properly. Not just the fees of shipping, not just the fees of the product itself, not just the fees of any tariffs or taxes you need to pay, but also the fees of shipping and handling inside the Amazon FBA warehouse. Another bad thing that you may experience with Amazon is a number of Amazon seller accounts can just be suspended overnight due to some compliance or missing paperwork. So if you had a shop that was working great and then all of a sudden there's a new requirement that comes out for your country, and this happens a lot in the EU, that you need to make sure your specific products need to be certified with specific certification and you don't have it, well, you can lose your shop overnight. Not lose it, but at least have your funds frozen and your shop paused until you produce that paperwork. And what if you can't produce that paperwork because it's like a new certification that came out this year and it takes at least 1 to 2 months to get? What do you do then? So that's why Amazon margins can be quite lower, and the fees and the ads that you may pay to get your listing higher may actually cut into your margins. And the fear of you being shut down overnight is a real fear. That's not to say Amazon is not a good platform to use. I personally never used it. I've just been the middleman kind of helping people get their store started. But I see that you kind of have less control over the clients and the customers you actually get on the platform. So when a customer pays for your product in Amazon, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong here, you don't see their email address, you don't see any personal information like their phone number or their address, because that's all handled by the warehouse when they get orders. Now, the benefit is that they also handle your returns and any issues you may have with the product. Like, they handle that too. So it's a give and take situation where you don't see the customer information so that you can continue promoting similar products or maybe new product line that you're promoting that they purchased before, but you know, it's kind of hands off and you get the fulfillment done, handled by Amazon completely. Now, if so far this breakdown is kind of helping you pick which e-commerce platform you want to sell your goods in, please tap like. And if you want to know more about sourcing in e-commerce, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get the weekly tips that we publish on our channel. You can also sign up for free at borderlesscommerce.net for tools and step-by-step guides on how to actually source goods from China for your e-commerce business. Now let's go into the second part, TikTok shop. So I mentioned first Amazon, now we're going to go into TikTok. It's actually exploding right now in popularity. It's actually been reported that they have global merchandise value of over 33 billion. This was in like 2024, 2025. It is also currently right now the fastest US e-commerce expansion since early Amazon days. TikTok actually gives you instant product testing without needing a full-blown website, and you can link it to your audience if you have a following on TikTok. And they also have a new feature. I'm gonna say that new, but a feature that it's called Fulfilled by TikTok, that it becomes easier to handle logistics, similar to Amazon FBA. You just send it to a warehouse and they deal with the orders for you. Now, I don't know if you get to see the customer information, like their email, their address, or phone number, because that information can be handy for marketing later down the road, as in having customers come back to buy more products instead of just being a one-time purchase, which I highly recommend, is that you build your business model so that you have returning customers instead of getting new customers, because it's easier to keep customers staying versus getting a whole new customer. But the volatility can be real. If you don't go viral, that can mean no sales, unless, of course, you're paying for paid ads and not actually selling your goods on organic traffic. And some buyers are still developing trust in TikTok as a shopping platform because they're usually used to, like Facebook Marketplace, Walmart, Amazon, all those. That's not to say you can ignore the power of TikTok. It's something that I may be exploring in the near future, so it's not something to ignore overall. So if you already have a following on TikTok and you want to build your own product and sell it on there, that may be a platform you can start in, because most of it is done for you and you don't need to do any development for the website and the front end and all that. Now, the last type of e-commerce store that I'm going to talk about, so we talked about Amazon, TikTok, and now we're going to talk about Shopify and WooCommerce. This one I'm the biggest fan of. I currently use WooCommerce. I've been using it for years. I've also used Shopify. In my experience, these can give you the highest profit margins because you control the storefront. You also own the customer relationship. You own the email list, you own the brand, and you can actually control marketing campaigns better. Now, it is a little bit tougher to get customers to actually buy on your website, because unlike TikTok, you can pay for ads on TikTok to have customers go to your store. Same deal with Amazon. They have a whole customer base in Amazon that they can sort on previous purchase history and recommend your products and listings. You kind of are on your own with Shopify or WooCommerce. Like, you need to use paid advertising, either if it's publishing content like I am on YouTube, or paid YouTube ads, or paid Facebook ads, paid Instagram ads. You get the deal. Like, you're gonna have to work harder for the customers, and I don't want to say like you own them, but you at least have more information about the customer versus a third party like Amazon keeping all that information to you. For example, when YouTube, if someone subscribes to your channel, I don't think you can see, unless they agree to share it, their email address or anything like that. So how do you follow up with that person other than them being a subscriber? Well, in this case, you own this email list of all the people that make purchases on your website. You see their address, their email, and their phone number. Now, I'm not saying do some unethical marketing. Like, make sure you give permission and ask for permission to go ahead and use that for marketing if they agree to. There's ways to do that, but you get the point that you get to control more your customer base. If something were to happen with like the Amazon server or a new compliance issue were to happen, that's less likely to happen with Shopify and WooCommerce. It's more under your control. But some big problems is the fulfillment and the shipping. This is something you really need to be careful about. If you're starting out with Shopify and WooCommerce, if you don't know what you're doing, you might need to hire a third-party fulfillment center, as in like a warehouse where you ship your products to. And then you also need to deal with like the returns and customer service. Unlike Amazon, they can do that for you. I mean, you still need to reply to customers when they send inquiries, but at least there's like some third-party assistance. If it comes to completely your store, like, I'm just telling you from experience, you're dealing with all the returns. You're gonna have to take some losses. You're gonna have to deal with unhappy customers. You're gonna have to deal with delayed shipping that's out of your control. Like, you're gonna have to deal with all that stuff. And it's not pretty if you don't have a warehouse in your country. Like, let's say you're shipping directly from China and the product gets to the customer's doorstep. There's proof that they took a picture and the product is right at the customer's doorstep, but they want to return it. In most cases, you're gonna need to take the hit, so you don't have a fulfillment center in the US. Shipping it back to China and sending it back to the supplier will probably cost 3 times as much than just. There's also a thing that you need to set up your own website. Yes, it's getting easier with the AI tools and the new vibe coding to set up your own website, but that's still another step you need to do versus, just posting your product on Amazon or, just following the steps on TikTok Shop. If you're using WooCommerce or Shopify, yes, there are templates out there. I'm not saying it's difficult. It's just another step that you need to go through. And if you're not shipping from your house and you've actually gotten some sales, you want to take it a step further, you're going to need third-party logistics. You're going to need a fulfillment center, or unless you're going to rent your own warehouse and do your own warehousing, you're going to need to find someone to help you do that. And I mentioned earlier that the customers are not just going to land on your website. You need to have some kind of marketing tactic. You need to have some kind of either paid ads, organic ads, something to get your customers to go to your website. Because this is me speculating. I mean, I'm just taking an educated guess here, but people tend to trust Amazon with their shopping cart experience better than like a random website, because Amazon has a reputation. They have developed infrastructure to accept returns, and and they have clear shipping dates and shipping estimate times. Whereas if it's a first time going to a random website, they're maybe a little bit more reluctant to make a purchase. And if it's not a smooth experience, like if you have too many clicks to get the customer to click buy, like you might just lose customers there. So for beginners, I think Shopify and WooCommerce is overwhelming, especially if you don't have a turnkey solution. But for the long term, Shopify gives you the most control and the highest profitability, in my opinion. Based on this report, that the e-commerce web usage distribution is very high on Shopify and WooCommerce. Now, this is not counting Amazon, TikTok, and Temu, right? This is a Walmart or Target or anything like that where you set up your own product. But this is like your own Shopify store, and you can see that Shopify, WooCommerce, like they have a lot of traffic. So it's definitely powerful tools. I like Shopify and WooCommerce because you can customize it for your brand, for you, and for your customer. You don't have to just use the cookie cutter listing on Amazon or on a TikTok shop. You can make it your own, and that's what it makes it unique. But out of those three, I mean, they all have their pros and cons I mentioned. I would recommend in 2025 and beyond to go for a multi-channel strategy. So instead of relying on only one platform, which can be risky, as you hear, don't put all your eggs in one basket, as in Amazon suspending you overnight, or TikTok stop recommending your videos and you stop going viral, or Shopify traffic just stop getting traffic because you stop running ads. I think the smartest strategy would be to mix them up. A good example is Teat Hanley. It's a product that I've used. They have their own actual store. I think it's Shopify, and you can't verify, but their own store, and they also sell on Amazon. So they use multiple channels to get clients, because you're going to have a different kind of target customer that uses the Amazon shop versus one that's more willing to use Shopify. Of course, how they balance the pricing and all that may have to do with it, but if one goes down, you still have sales on the other. So if you were to like order these for like beginners, if you have a following on TikTok, I'm saying like over 10,000 followers, something like that, you can actually test your product quite quickly on TikTok shop just to get a taste of what the market's actually looking for. And then if you find some winners, and I'm not talking about just copying and pasting products. Like I'm talking about products that you developed or you've customized to make your own. I'm not talking about merch where you just slap your logo on something and say, this is mine. No, I'm talking about like if you have a specific niche and you found a very core problem that you've solved on your own by being creative with some manufacturing or something like that, and then making your own. I'm talking about that kind of product. If you find some winners, you can consider posting them on Amazon. And then if you want to even go further, go on Shopify and WooCommerce to actually build a customer base that you have more visibility over. Instead of just having Amazon or TikTok deal with the fulfillment, you have to deal with it, but you can control the marketing better, the email campaigns and all that. Plenty of brands also do this model of mixing more than one channel. So it's like a safety net not to just put everything in one website. This can give you stability and growth. Now, if you decided if you're going to use Amazon or TikTok or Shopify or WooCommerce and you want help finding products that actually sell, watch my video on how to find selling products in 2025 by using Google Trends and TikTok for free. I'll put it right here on the screen for you to watch next.